Patriots visit the Dolphins for a Week 2 matchup on Sunday afternoon in Miami. Drake Maye looking to rebound from the Patriots' season-opening loss to the Raiders. The quarterback, who had an inconsistent performance last Sunday, was asked what needs to happen for him in the offense to improve this weekend.
I think that the goal is to, everybody after Week 1's trying to, kind of assess where they're at and get back there in Week 2. And I think it's, my job to kind of get us going and like I said, try to start fast and from there just take what they give me and create positive plays. I think that's what we're trying to create, just positive plays. And from there, I feel like if we don't get our own way, I think we'll be fine.
I mean, coming off a loss or a win, I think we just have to make sure that we're consistent in what we do. This league doesn't wait around for you, doesn't feel sorry for you. There's somebody there. There's another hole, waiting for you to hit it in the woods or hit it down the middle of the fairway. If you bogey the first hole, you have to be able to come back and answer.
Spoken like a true golfer. All right, welcome into Arbella Early Edition. Trenni Casey alongside from the Boston Herald. We have Andrew Callahan and Tom Giles is with us as well. Guys, I said at the top of the show we're going to play a game of Would You Rather, so I'm going to ask you a question. Would you rather the Patriots win on Sunday and Drake Maye, quite frankly, doesn't look all that great, or the Patriots lose on Sunday, but Drake Maye looks good to better?
I'm looking for a good to better Drake Maye because this is not even just about last Sunday. This is about the whole summer, the preseason. I mean, people here in this studio, people watching at home are kind of freaking out, being like, this is the face of the franchise. This is the guy who's taking us back to the promised land. I want less Drake Maye. I want more Drake Maye. It's in there, but we have to see it against a bad Dolphins team.
So you're okay if they lose, but Drake Maye looks good. You're okay with that?
Yeah, look, obviously, it's better if the Patriots win. I think sometimes we have to say the unsaid, so we just acknowledge it. But to me, September is not reflective of really anything in the NFL. It's the most random time. So if the Patriots lose, I'm not panicking. I understand other people would love to panic. But if the quarterback plays well, who's going to be here through the rest of the season for ideally 10 years to come, I need to see something more from him than this iteration of the September 2025 Patriots.
Just win. Just win the game. That's it. Just win the game. I don't care what it looks like. Just win the game because Drake Maye and the offense, it's going to be a work in progress. The team feels like it's a work in progress right now as it is. So if they find a way to win this game and Drake Maye continues to struggle a little bit, hopefully that can continue to get better as well. But win the game. Just get the win, get to 1-1.
All right, I'm going to break the tie here. Giles, love you. You're so wrong. Because first of all, one, it's going to be extraordinarily difficult for this team to win if Drake Maye doesn't play well, if he doesn't play good or better. But more importantly than that, a win against Miami on Sunday, if your quarterback doesn't start to take steps forward, doesn't mean anything in the long run. Like, do you really think they're going to go off on this winning streak if Drake Maye continues to look like garbage, but the team wins against a bad Miami team on Sunday? The ideal situation is Drake Maye looks better and they win. But if Drake Maye looks better and for some reason the defense still gives up those big plays they were giving up to Tyreek Hill and Jaden Waddle and they lose the game, but you finally start to see what Drake Maye and this offense can do, and that's something you can build on, that is so much more important than a stupid win in Week 2.
I just feel like it's going to be a lot easier to deal with some of the mistakes that might come his way if they win the game. It feels better with a win in that situation. It feels like this entire team, coaching staff, everyone just wants to get that first win, especially going up against a Miami team that didn't look good last week. He's going to improve throughout the year, so if you can steal one where he's still trying to figure things out, with the Josh McDaniels offense, if you can steal one, do that.
But let's go worst case scenario here. Let's say Drake Maye plays poorly and they lose.
Ooh, now that's real bad.
The conversation around the loss is going to be, this happens. They never win in Miami.
That wasn't in my would you rather. No one would rather have that.
But look, if then you're talking about the conversation around Drake Maye gets more dire, right? We have not seen the player that everyone expected to take this year 2 leap. It's been 2 games playing iffy teams, and you lost badly to both. They always lose in Miami. Tom Brady had a losing record in Miami. If Drake Maye loses in Miami, that's not a big deal. If he plays well, though, that is something that you can have hope with.
Well, what if he does play poorly? Andrew Callahan writing a column in the Boston Herald about the pressure, how the pressure is mounting for Drake Maye. Callahan also questions how he will respond. Here is part of that column. Maye has logged just 13 NFL starts after last Sunday, but soon enough, expectations will soar to a level associated with 13-year veterans because the cycle has been accelerated. Impatience is the rule, not the exception. in today's NFL thanks to Jaden Daniels, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, and other recent rookie sensations. Not to mention, after 3 years of grade A organic coach-fed dysfunction in Foxborough and only one winning season since 2019, we are desperate for competitive football again. So what does happen in your scenario? Let's say, for argument's sake, they go down there to Miami. It's hot, it's humid, and Drake Maye the ball is slippery, and he turns it over, and he looks bad. What happens then?
I'm curious, because the Drake Maye we saw this week, and this is not a dramatic change, but it's enough of a change that I'm writing a column like that, is a different Drake Maye that I've never seen before. And I think there's a part of him that's surely tired of hearing from people like me, from his coaches, from Mike Vrabel, hey, you need to be better. There needs to be more from you, because he gets it. He knows it. But look, until he delivers more, delivers better, I don't know what that guy is going to look like. I think he's been a little withdrawn, a little short. And you're absolutely be pissed at the reporters. It's not fun taking questions from me after losses. But the point is, it all starts and ends on the field. And if it does not start to pick up, Giles, the pressure is absolutely going to ramp up.
And this could be a difficult spot as well with the offensive line in the shape that it is right now. You know, Morgan Moses, questionable. They don't have a ton of depth at that position. If you have to rotate guys in and out because of the heat and the humidity, he could be under pressure throughout the day. And that's kind of the sort of situation where he hasn't really flourished.
Are you confident he can handle, and I'm glad you used the word pressure because it can be used in two different situations here, pressure one from defense, but also pressure, just the pressure on him to perform. Have you been convinced that he can handle all of that pressure?
I think he can. He just needs to do it. Like, it just needs to happen that
Why
one time.
are you so confident that he can? What has he shown you that says, you know what, this is a kid that can stand back there in the pocket, can withstand the physical pressure, but also the mental pressure?
We've seen it at times. The Tennessee game a year ago, if you take the overtime out of it, but that play at the end of the game in regulation, like, we've seen him do some crazy things and make some crazy plays. That's kind of him just, hey, plays break it down and go make a play rather than think too much about what I need to do. Maybe that's what needs to happen.
Andrew, there was a point in last Sunday's game for about a quarter and a half, almost 2 quarters, where Drake Maye and the offense were humming. They didn't, they only scored 1 touchdown, but they were moving the ball down the field. What did you see from that? What do they need to take from that and apply on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, it comes back to pressure, and it's more the one we just started talking about, right? Because in the first half, Drake Maye was 0 of 3 when he was under pressure. The second half, when the running game is just completely abandoned, as Josh McDaniels and Mike Vrabel talked about this week, he was under pressure and went 4 of 8, 41 yards, a pick, and 3 sacks. So no quarterback likes pressure. But to me, the hope that I still have is not so much about Sunday. It's about what he did under pressure last year, which is the worst situation of any quarterback any time in recent NFL history. And he had one of the better rookie seasons statistically when you just isolate the quarterback play. But the difference is always going to be pressure, because pressure breaks everyone and everything. And he's seen it now, not just this year and last year, but his final season at UNC. And that could and may lead to some bad habits.
Can he handle it?
We're going to find out. Like that's what these next 6 weeks to me are all about. And then we're in mid-October. And anyone who wants to panic, in my opinion, go nuts, because by then you know what teams are in the league.
All right, let's deep dive this game against the Dolphins, starting with the defensive play caller, Zach Core. You're down there the most, obviously. Andrew, what was your reaction to the decision to have Core call the plays on Sunday?
It's not a surprise. We didn't see Terrell Williams at all in the spring. That goes for OTAs, minicamp, even parts of the summer. And who was the guy that took over? Zach Core. We're all going to get to know a whole lot more. And I think there's also something, Trenni, to be said for the position that he coaches. Like, the inside linebackers are literally in the middle of everything that's going on. And Robert Spillane is their signal caller. So he understands coverages, he understands fronts, he understands blitzes. And a guy who's also called plays before. Granted, Giles, he was an offensive coordinator in college, but he understands the tempo of it and how to get things in. He's definitively the guy, and he's prepared as much as someone can be.
Giles, would you have preferred it was Mike Vrabel?
No, not necessarily. No, I want Mike Vrabel kind of overseeing the entire operation, so I still prefer him in that role. My bigger question is, how does it impact the game plan, if at all? Is this going to be the same game plan they thought they were going into it when they were probably scouting ahead? Do they blitz continuously against this Miami Dolphins team? Do they maybe play it a little more conservatively? I'm just curious how it impacts the game plan from one guy to another.
So this is where I think Vrabel has his imprint, right? They're in the meetings. You've got a void there with no Terrell Williams, because that core still has to coach his individual guys, and now in addition to running the whole defense, Vrabel will have his say. Part of the comfort in releasing it, even Bill Belichick did this, of saying, yeah, you go ahead and call the plays. I know every single call in that sheet because I put it there. So as long as you're doing it in order and you're within the game plan that I had a hand in, I think that's why Vrabel's comfortable, and in addition to thinking a lot of Zach Core as a coach.
Yeah, I just, again, I look at what they did against Vegas, and, maybe you thought that their wide receivers aren't going to be able to get open. It's a different animal when you're going up against a Miami team with those kinds of weapons.
And I also wonder about the trickle-down effect. Like this, this now thins out the defensive coaching staff. I think it puts more pressure on Mike Vrabel to be more hands-on with the defense than maybe he then will be with the offense or special teams instead of overseeing everything. Like, is that a concern that this is a thinned out coaching staff that isn't able to fulfill all the duties necessary to get the defense up to par?
For sure, because you look at the coaching staff, offensively, you've got 3 guys who have served as a head coach, including Thomas Brown on an interim basis. If Josh McDaniels can't call plays, Doug Marrone could do it. Thomas Brown could do it. Todd Downing could do it. He's done it before. Defensively, it's a young staff. It's an inexperienced staff. Terrell Williams used to be up in the booth and having this bird's eye view. Who's doing that now? What's the line of communication? Because before it was just Williams straight to Robert Spillane. It goes through Kerr now, but he's on the sideline when you have to make adjustments. Is he doing that with the whole defense? Just the linebackers? There are a lot of, as you said, trickle-down effect to figure out here come Sunday.
All right, speaking of Sunday, Giles, I'm going to start with you here. What changes would you like to see the Patriots make so that we see, we get the win that you so desire, that everyone desires?
Well, yeah. Well, unless Drake Maye plays lights out, then you're going to be okay with it, you guys, the two of you.
Yes.
You asking me offensively, defensively?
Whatever you want. Whatever needs to be fixed, what do you want to see fixed?
I want to see Drake Maye cut loose. I want to see him be able to scramble without taking one step and thinking, I got to get down and slide. Because that's literally what it felt like in the first game. Felt like he would take one step, I'm going to break the pocket, I'm going to run with this football, and I immediately need to figure out how I'm going to slide. And I just don't think that's any way to live. I think they kind of have to take the hardest off him, let him go, and let him run, whatever that needs to be. Scramble, get outside of the pocket. That's what I want to see.
So I'd love to go offense. I just don't think there are that many levers to pull schematically because you can't make Drake Maye settle down necessarily in the way that we all want him to. They might not still be able to run the ball. Defensively, though, you can blitz less. I felt like the Patriots blitzed almost emotionally or on 3rd down and 11 in that first drive. Gave up a touchdown. They had a 3rd and 1 where you're blitzing a corner, and then it's boop, easy throw to the right. And 3rd and 20, send the house, and you give up a 36-yard completion. So, look, most of the game was called well, but high-leverage situations when their answer for everything was just pressure, 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 I think they need a change up there to offset the fastball.
So I was going to say, use the run to set up the pass, including a screen game. Like, use Travion Henderson. Use your backs more, because the fact that they only ran 3 times, they only rushed the ball 18 times total, 3 times in the second half. You say, well, what if they can't? But I feel like maybe they didn't have a ton of success running the ball, but they also abandoned the run. And I think that left Drake Maye on an island in the second half.
That's fair. And I think Henderson is an even bigger deal than maybe the running game, right? Because you talk about the screens. Look, he had 11 touches and 25 snaps. I'd say it's a great ratio. Just bring up the total snaps. Give him more touches. Because if there's one guy on this team, who can take the ball and go to the house at any snap, it's Travion Henderson, and then everybody else. So whether you're running the ball traditionally, which is going to ask a lot of Jared Wilson and Will Campbell to create space, because the biggest problem with running the ball, in addition to abandoning it, was they just couldn't move people. And that's what you have to do. But Henderson gets the ball in a couple of creative ways. That's what you need to see more of, is give the ball to your best player.
Yeah, it felt like even on the screen passes they did attempt last week, there was nothing there. There was just absolutely nothing there. And if you can get a guy who can create some space, then I think that's probably part of the problem there. But maybe even Pop Douglas as well. Get him something easy, get him kind of going early on. Try to get Stephon Diggs an early target. I want all these things early. You can't do all of them, but, you go on a 10 or 12 play drive, then you can.
Giles would like to watch an interesting football game.
It's just an interesting football game where you score on the opening drive and you don't just say, we're just going to go 3 and out and make sure everyone's settled in.
I may or may not have texted Mark the Beetle Bertrand last night and just asked,
there we go.
What's it like? Is it weird? Is it weird to watch competent football? All right, here is today's injury report. Christian Gonzalez.
I didn't even watch.
I'm gonna ride it here as long as I can. Keon White are both out of the game on Sunday. Gonzalez is still dealing with the hamstring injury he suffered on July 28th. White is out with an illness. Marte Mapu, Morgan Moses are both questionable in this game. What is going on with Christian Gonzalez? At what point, Andrew, should we be concerned with the fact that he has now been out since, 7, 8 weeks ago, July 28th?
Yeah, coming up on 7 weeks. and has not practiced once. We see him in street clothes all the time, walking around, see him in the locker room with flip-flops on. Looks like he's coming from workout or he's just in the hot tub. I don't know. But what I do know is that he's not playing football, and he's their best defensive player. Someone who last week, you talk about that outcome versus Vegas. I'm not saying he could have won the game, but Brock Bowers would not have had 100 yards in 3 quarters because he would have been on him on 3rd down. And so that's a player that you can build around. The Patriots need now and moving forward. The only thing that gives me a little hope, to be honest, is that they've not put him on IR. So they expect him at some point to come back in the next 3 weeks. And unfortunately, at that point, the Patriots might be 0-3.
If they're being as cautious, or if he's being as cautious, because I think he's hurt, but waiting until he's absolutely 100%, if you're going to take all that time to make sure you're all the way back to 100%, I also wonder, okay, now it's back on the practice field. Does that necessarily mean that he's playing that week? Is it going to be a ramp-up period? Is it going to be 2 weeks after he returns to the practice field? So the way you're laying it out there, it kind of feels like it could be a bit.
Yeah, of course. I mean, how about just his cardio, right? Like, you stop doing anything for 6 weeks. He's been working out a little bit.
It's not the same.
No, it's not the same. There's football shape, and then there's even just conditioning. Obviously, he's not close to football shape. The other part is this, and this is pure speculation, so no reporting, especially not from the Boston Herald. Let's say the Patriots pushed him too far, right? And he re-injures the hamstring, he has a setback. Are you, Christian Gonzalez, then going to trust the training staff when they ask you to ramp up to do that right away, given what you just endured and how much you were set back? Maybe not.